In the quiet town of Maple Creek, a man named Daniel Harris was sitting on his front porch with a cup of coffee in hand, staring at the horizon. The sun was just rising, casting golden hues across the sleepy neighborhood. He was 47, divorced, a father of 2 grown children, and a manager at a local hardware store. On the surface, everything in Daniel's life looked fine. He had a job, a roof over his head, and no major health concerns. But deep down he knew he was just coasting through life, existing, not truly living. Daniel had always thought he had time. Time to fix things. Time to pursue dreams. Time to become the man he always wanted to be. But on New Year's Eve of 2024, while alone in his home, watching fireworks explode on TV, something clicked. He whispered to himself, "I don't want to feel like this again next year." That simple statement sparked a revolution within him. He decided that 2025 would be different. It would be his best year yet. The very next morning, January 1st, Daniel sat down with a notebook and a pen. He titled the first page, "Lessons I Should Have Learned Sooner." He didn't know it yet, but that list would transform his entire life. What followed wasn't a sudden lottery win or some magical opportunity. What followed were quiet, consistent changes, anchored in powerful life lessons that anyone could adopt. Here are the lessons Daniel learned, the ones that made his 2025 extraordinary. The first lesson Daniel had to confront was the importance of being present. Too often he found himself either regretting the past or worrying about the future. Whether it was missed opportunities with his children or concerns about his retirement savings, his mind lived everywhere but the moment. He realized he had to rewire his focus. So he made a commitment. Whenever he spoke with someone, whether it was a coworker, a friend, or the cashier at the grocery store, he would give them his full attention. This small habit transformed his relationships. His employees felt heard, his children called more often, and his sense of peace increased dramatically. Being fully present didn't cost anything, but the returns were priceless. The second lesson was about letting go of pride. For years, Daniel refused to ask for help. He saw it as a sign of weakness. But this mindset had kept him stuck and isolated. One snowy evening, while trying to repair his broken furnace, he finally called his neighbor, Steve, a retired HVAC technician. Not only did Steve fix the furnace, but the 2 men also shared a pot of chili and bonded over stories from their younger days. Daniel realized that vulnerability creates connection. Admitting you can't do everything alone doesn't make you weak. It makes you wise. Lesson 3 was about health. Not just physical but emotional and mental well-being. Daniel began taking daily walks, often in the nearby forest trail. The rhythm of his footsteps and the hush of nature became his therapy. He started eating better, cutting out excessive sugar and processed food. He also visited a therapist for the first time. At first, it felt uncomfortable talking about his past wounds, his failed marriage, and his disappointments. But eventually he found healing in those conversations. He learned that strength isn't about hiding pain. It's about facing it. Another powerful shift came when Daniel learned the lesson of gratitude. For years he had focused on what he didn't have: more money, a partner, career success. But in 2025, he started keeping a gratitude journal. Each night he wrote down 3 things he was thankful for. Sometimes they were small, like the taste of fresh coffee or the warmth of his dog curled beside him. Other times they were big, like reconnecting with his daughter over lunch or finally finishing a home improvement project. Gratitude changed his perspective. Instead of feeling like life was against him, he began to see it as a gift. Midway through the year, Daniel learned the importance of forgiving, not just others but also himself. He carried guilt from the past. How he wasn't always the best husband, how he missed milestones in his children's lives due to work, how he once chose comfort over courage. But forgiveness isn't a one-time act. It's a practice. He wrote letters he never sent, expressing apologies and understanding. He looked in the mirror and said aloud, "I forgive you." Slowly, the heavy burden on his chest lifted. Forgiveness freed him in ways nothing else could. In July, Daniel faced a difficult decision at work. One of his employees, Jason, was caught stealing supplies. Company policy required termination, but Daniel knew Jason's story. A young father working 2 jobs, barely making ends meet. Instead of immediately firing him, Daniel sat him down, expressed disappointment, but also compassion. He gave Jason a second chance with strict conditions. Jason turned his life around and became one of the most loyal team members. Daniel learned that leadership is about guidance, not just rules. Another major lesson was embracing change. In August, Daniel's ex-wife, Amanda, announced she was moving to another state with her new husband. Their son, Tyler, would be staying with Daniel for his senior year of high school. First, Daniel panicked. Could he handle full-time parenting again? Was he ready? But instead of resisting the change, he welcomed it. He turned the guest room into Tyler's new space. They began cooking meals together, playing board games, and even went on a road trip. That summer brought them closer than ever before. Change, Daniel discovered, wasn't something to fear. It was a gateway to growth. As the months passed, Daniel began to take more risks. Not reckless ones, but purposeful ones. He had always wanted to learn the guitar, so he signed up for lessons at the community center. His fingers stumbled over the strings at first, but he kept at it. Eventually, he played a few songs during an open mic night. The applause he received wasn't just for the music. It was for the courage. Trying new things made him feel alive. He learned that age isn't a barrier. It's a mindset. Toward the end of the year, Daniel began giving more of his time to others. He volunteered at a local food bank and began mentoring young men at the high school. Sharing his experiences and listening to theirs created a sense of purpose he had never known. Giving, he realized, wasn't just about charity, it was about connection. It reminded him that everyone carries unseen battles and that kindness can change a life. As 2025 drew to a close, Daniel sat on the same porch where he had once felt lost. But now his eyes carried light. His face, though aged, bore a calm strength. The year hadn't been perfect. There were still moments of doubt, setbacks at work, and personal struggles. But he had grown. He had transformed. And it wasn't because of luck. It was because of lessons. He had learned to be present, to be vulnerable, to take care of his health, to be grateful, to forgive, to lead with compassion, to welcome change, try new things, to give to others, and most of all, to believe that it's never too late to become who you were meant to be. Daniel's story is not unique. It's a story that belongs to all of us. We all face crossroads where we must choose between staying the same or growing into something better. We all have the power to turn things around, whether we're 25, 45, or 65. Life doesn't wait, but it does give second chances to those who are willing to learn. If you're reading this and you feel stuck or uninspired, let Daniel's journey be a mirror. Ask yourself,